like to add, Mr. Smith?
First of all, I didn't mean for this to happen. Yes, I got weak. Yes, I am a man. Yes, I could have told you no. I told you no thrice. As far as the baby being mine, I don't know. That's why I'm here to clear this up.
Baby, 27 days ago, you got him holding your baby saying it's mine. Today, you talking about, okay, I ain't even got nothing to do with him because I'm marrying somebody else.
Before I had sex with his cousin last month. It's always him that starts.
Wait a minute now, you had sex with his cousin again last month?
And he had sex with my cousin again 3 months ago.
Hold on to your hats, folks, because we've got a juicy case coming your way. We've got Miss Ginald and her sister squaring off against Mr. Hardin, a guy who's been dodging paternity like a pro athlete dodges paparazzi. Fasten those seatbelts, cause this one's one heck of a roller coaster.
Mr. Hardin actually came to our house in Minnesota and with his 2 sisters, and which we all just spent the day together. And the last I recall, I was 11 years old and my sister Kiera was 10.
11, and you're 26 now.
Correct.
15 years ago is the last time you saw him?
Correct.
Now let's get back to the moment when Miss Ginald ended up pregnant. Now, dear old daddy had his doubts from the get-go. Oh yes, he thought, hey, maybe I'm the dad, but she's been hanging out with a few too many other gents. Talk about a punch to the gut, man.
Their mother didn't allow me to come around them at all. There's no way that I would not want to be around my daughters, Your Honor.
You're lying right there.
I asked for a paternity test from day one. And, Your Honor, I've always doubted because I used to catch Ms. Ginald with several different men during the course of our relationship.
Mr. Hardin's heartache didn't stop there. Nope, he had been carrying the weight of over a whopping $90,000 in child support payments. And if that wasn't enough, he'd been dropping bombshells about catching Miss Ginald in some steamy situations. Betrayal, anyone?
They approached him in Indiana that they were going to give him papers to sign or whatever. He said he felt he was the father and he didn't need to sign no papers, but he signed some document, but nobody knows where that document is.
What? Did you sign any documents?
Just like I never signed any parental documents, no birth certificates, nothing.
But here's where it gets even spicier. Mr. Hardin's got documents. Yeah, you heard me right. Documents. He had been waving around proof of his driver's license suspension, garnished paychecks, and the whole 9 yards. Clearly, he had been going through a lot of trouble over this paternity mess.
Your Honor, I begged for a paternity test. I petitioned the court.
25 and 26 years old. You had all this time to do it. You should have did this way back when. There's no doubt you should have did this.
I did it immediately.
Why didn't you come? Why are you letting us call you dad when you doubted this whole time?
No, you don't understand.
Now let's talk about timelines. There was this murky window of conception, and it's a real head scratcher. Mr. Hardin was scratching his head in confusion and desperation, trying to figure out when these little ladies were actually conceived. It's like trying to solve a Rubik's Cube in the dark. Could it get harder than this?
She's still more than happy. Up until last year, she got money all the time. Every job I worked, she got paid. She got paid, Your Honor. All my money. Yeah, but last year you was getting over $500, $450. I had to go to court to get it modified. That's when I found out the law, Your Honor.
You're worried about $100 here, $100 there. That doesn't matter.
But hold on to your seats, because we've got a bomb to reveal. So we've witnessed a tale of doubt, drama, and everything in between. Let's bring it to a close and give it a big Hollywood ending now, shall we?
Mr. Hardin, you are her father.
I told you. I told you. Told you. 26 years. I told you. I told you.
Miss Ramos brought her ex-fiancé to court to prove to him, once and for all, he was the baby daddy. However, the defendant was ready to battle it out, as he firmly believed he wasn't the one who fathered baby Xavier.
I am fed up with his lies, his manipulation. He does this to other people, and not the only one. I mean, how can you deny such a beautiful baby?
So what was the nature of this relationship? I mean, you said that you were engaged.
We known each other for years before. Then I seen them again last year.
Well. It seemed these guys went way back. Yup, they had just rekindled their connection only a year prior. Initially, it wasn't that serious though. But eventually, it did become so, and that was the time she got pregnant. Coincidence?
Me and him wasn't even actually in a relationship. Like, we were...
Wait a minute.
In the beginning, like...
You all are in a relationship.
It was really not that serious in the beginning. It was just like talking to, you know, and I didn't know it was gonna go on to this point. Oh, that's when it really got serious.
So you all were in a serious relationship.
Yep.
Mr. Edwards had more than a few instances to share about the actions of the baby mama, and they were quite graphic. But Miss Ramos kept interjecting while the former fiancé testified. Guess she couldn't help but jump to her defense.
At the beginning, when she was at least like a month pregnant, that's when she had slept with a relative of mine.
I disagree. It's not even a blood relative. First of all, it was all through marriage, so I don't even.
So it's a family member of his.
Supposedly.
Excuse me,
it's
Your
not
Honor.
really a family member. It's not
Your
blood
Honor.
relation or anything.
Finally, the defendant got the much-needed time to state his case, and boy did he have some shocking revelations in store. Baby mama had been quite busy with paternity people, so much so that she didn't take any precautionary measures.
You were sleeping and someone had sex with you, but you
My ex-
slept through the entire thing?
Actually, I've been broke up with that ex in June. So yes, while I was sleeping, he did start getting into me. No, I wasn't fully asleep, but I actually was not trying to really participate. But I'm not gonna reject it either, knowing that I had a relationship with him.
Dear Lord, woman, have some dignity at least. But even after all of that happened, Mr. Edwards still asked the woman to marry him. Like, seriously? And yet his mind was still filled with all sorts of paternity doubts. No surprises there, given the actions of the baby mama.
He was in a relationship with another female, you know? So yeah, I was gonna first work it out with my ex, and we did have an intimacy, which I do regret because of what I've caused. I wanted to fix it and make it work with him for our child, because our child deserves what we didn't have, which was we didn't grow up with both of our parents.
Next up, we got to some conflicting narratives. The baby daddy played the daddy and fiancé part, but didn't sign the birth certificate. However, he did give the kid his last name. Could it get more complicated than this?
She never told the hospital that I was the alleged father.
I disagree, Your Honor. When I told him, hey, it's time to come sign the birth certificate, I already know that's not my baby. I said, so why come here and play daddy?
So he didn't sign the birth certificate, but you still gave Xavier his last name?
Because him and his father told me to give him his last name. They were both there.
The baby mama had been claiming Mr. Edwards was her guy left and right. And bam, she was all set to get married to another guy the next month. Yup, you heard that right. She moved on that fast. However, pretty soon her smart mouth landed her in troubled waters with the judge. And we know Judge Lake won't have anyone talk over her.
She was pregnant before they started talking by somebody else.
Disagree.
Everybody knew about it.
Well, that's because everybody's always making up lies, because nobody likes me.
Before I even seen you, I knew about you. Everybody was talking about you.
Okay.
So who is this girl that's sleeping with everybody? How about you answer the question about how the baby was born a month and 2 weeks early?
Oh, I can't help it if he was born a month early.
A drama-packed case with surprising twists and turns was close to finishing now. And let me say, it was about time indeed. The baby mama was quick as a cat to move on, but her kids still needed a father. And that's why they were here. Let's hear it.
It has been determined by this court. Mr. Edwards, you are the father.
Thank you. I want you to apologize to him, because I told you since day one.
How do you feel in this moment, Mr. Edwards?
I'm afraid.
In a world where loyalty was rarer than a unicorn sighting, we present to you the plaintiff bringing the defendant to court on charges of infidelity and whatnot. Get ready for a wild ride of cheating and doubt that'll leave you hanging on the edge of your seat.
I did make a mistake. I slept with this cousin and the condom had broke. But before that, Tyrone was downstairs sleeping with my cousin. He was still having sex with his baby's mom. He was doing him basically, but yeah, I did.
That was a mouthful. You made a mistake and slept with his cousin.
Yeah.
Who knew a fateful meeting at a party where sparks were flying faster than Spider-Man swinging through the city would eventually end up at paternity court? Alexandra Douglas and Tyrone Jones crossed paths, but their relationship was about as stable as a Jenga tower on a Discovery ride. They slept together, broke up, and then came the cousin drama. Because why not mix family into this mess?
It got good. I met Tyrone actually at a party that happened downstairs in my building. I met him and his cousin almost the same night. Me and Tyrone got together the first night we watched movies. The next night we did have sex, but we weren't together. We just had sex, and after that he went back to his other baby's mom.
Baby daddy didn't exactly do backflips when baby mommy dropped the truth bomb. I'm pregnant and it's yours. Doubt was his middle name, and he sure wasn't ready to accept it at just face value. Who can blame him when infidelity was the flavor of the day, right?
We actually wasn't in a relationship at the time when she slept with my cousin, but she basically just denied doing it up until the point. That's the reason we here now.
What did you feel, Mr. Jones, when you heard Ms. Douglas say, I'm pregnant and it's yours?
I wasn't too sure about it.
Hold on to your hats, because Miss Alexandra confessed to sleeping with Mr. Tyrone's cousin when they were still together. Shocked Pikachu face, anyone? But he did sign the birth certificate, and for a brief moment, things seemed like a happy family sitcom. Cue the dramatic plot twist.
I was gonna deny it, but I was actually telling the truth. Yeah, his cousin was there, and he was just watching TV. So at first I was in denial, but I ended up telling him the truth though. 2 years after my daughter was 2, I ended up telling him the truth.
So you go in and you smell, you know the cologne, your cousin, you say, okay, I know my cousin was here, but she denied everything.
Confusion took center stage as we delved deep into the mysteries of the good old conception dates. With baby mama sleeping with the partner's cousin last month and him hitting up Miss Alexandra's cousin 3 months ago, it was like a never-ending game of relationship duet. Dear Lord, it was even hard to keep track of it. My head hurts.
She actually slept with that person last month. My twins is only 6 months or 7 months.
Before I had sex with his cousin last month. It's always him that starts.
So wait a minute now, you had sex with his cousin again last month?
And he had sex with my cousin again 3 months ago, before I did it.
After the tit-for-tat retaliation blew out of proportion, saw that coming miles away, the couple finally took a vow to remain faithful. But did they respect the sanctity of that vow? Well, that's a whole other story, because clearly they did not. Man, oh man, what the heck was going on with these people?
I do want to be with her, but...
Do you really?
Yeah, I do. I honestly do.
No, that's why he keeps cheating. Why? I have not. Why did you write somebody on Facebook yesterday? We're together. We're supposed to be a little trip to ourselves. And you're texting somebody on Facebook?
Basically, she started writing me, and I'm like, okay, I just responded to her.
Facebook, it says we're engaged. So no other woman want to write him on Facebook. We're engaged on Facebook.
The DNA results were in, and they were bound to be juicier than a celebrity scandal. Will it be a paternity confirmation or a shocking twist? Let's find out as Judge Lake delivered the verdict. And here goes nothing.
Mr. Jones, you are not fired.
She knew this from the beginning. Now I'm embarrassed, gotta face public humiliation because she didn't want to be honest before we came here.
Popcorn's ready, everyone. Mr. Brewer was here to solve the thrilling mystery of which of his fraternal twins truly carries his genes. What? However, in my opinion, he might need to have some scientific evidence. Well, we'll get to that part, don't you worry. But first, listen to some testimonies.
I moved out of state, so I'm in Oklahoma now because the way he treats our babies.
What's going on? I can see you are emotional. What's going on?
So when I first got pregnant with the twins, everything was cool. Sean was there for me. Everything was good. And all of a sudden, he kind of switched up when he seen Zara.
Well, prepare to scratch your head in utter confusion, folks. Mr. Brewer's paternity doubts are making about as much sense as a chocolate teapot. Here's a guy who's absolutely convinced that one twin is his while side-eyeing the other. But hold on, it gets even better. Apparently, their love story started with a phone number mix-up on a cruise.
She's finding everything we got
and
together.
I didn't want to talk to him first. I gave him the wrong number.
Well, we talked.
Oh, well, how did you find her if you gave him the wrong number?
He stalked me and he found me.
I didn't stalk her, Yana.
Did she give you the wrong number, Mr. Brewer?
She did give me the wrong number, but I'm a chef. She was like, well, even if nothing don't happen, you can cook for me. And so, yeah, so.
But just pause for a second, because Miss Miller, in her own moment of truth, casually admits to a fling with a mysterious Jose, leaving Mr. Brewer suspicious and playing detective. And you won't believe what Mr. Brewer just confessed to in the courtroom. What's happening?
One night she was drinking heavily and everything, and she told me, "Oh, I cheated on you with a guy named Jose."
I don't know no Jose.
And she told me
the only Jose I know is Jose Cuervo. I don't know nobody.
Well, that must be Zara Cuervo then, you know.
Okay then.
Miss Miller's all teary-eyed, worried sick about how Mr. Brewer's doubts are affecting the twins. The judge throws in some scientific mumbo-jumbo about twins, and then Mr. Brewer comes in with the grand toe theory. Yup, he's trying to prove a point with a toe, as if it's the cherry on top of this crazy cake.
So this is my crusty foot.
Yeah.
But as you can see, the toe curves like a C-like, and it lays under. Zane's toe is just exactly like mine. It kind of, it's not as crusty, but it curves under like that,
Thank you, Lord.
And then Zara's toe, as you can see, goes straight up. That's how I feel, Your Honor.
Well, buckle up for this juicy twist. Miss Miller's confession at one point reveals she's been doing the single-parent hustle in a whole other state, while Mr. Brewer's been conspicuously absent for a while. Well, enough with this storyline. As the judge was about to drop the bombshell, DNA test results are on the horizon.
It has been determined by this court. Mr. Brewer, you are the father.
Even after you found out that he was married, you should have left him alone.
Okay.
Come on, like what kind of woman are you? Who does that? Now you got a baby. Not only that, you don't even know who your baby daddy is.
Took a DNA test before he started paying child support. Have Lil to pull his britchy legs up. Look here. See how white I am? Look how white I am. Pull your pants leg up, Lil.
Miss Lena is hoping that she wouldn't have to pay the price for her mistakes, but most importantly, that it won't affect her baby daughter, Christina. Miss Lima slept with Mr. Anderson, a married man who wants to show he's not Christina's father, or his marriage will go up in flames.
It all started from a Facebook message when Mr. Anderson was messaging me on Facebook. So we started being friends online for about 1.5 years. Then out of the blue one day, he called me and said, let's go out for dinner. So I was like, okay, well, I'm not doing anything, so why not? We went out to dinner and we got a hotel room that night. We had sex.
Just one moment, ma'am.
Oh boy, so Mr. Anderson has a whole closet of secrets. He was having a secret relationship with Miss Lima for almost a year, and then Mrs. Anderson found out. Even Miss Lima didn't know that the guy was married.
I decided to go out and take Miss Lima out one night. We had sex that night.
Was it one night or was it a year?
But it was one night, and then she come telling me that, she's pregnant, she having a baby, and she says mine, she wanted to be my baby and all that type of stuff.
So, how does Mr. Anderson react when Miss Lima shows up to his doorstep claiming she's pregnant and the baby is his? Well, he doesn't take it lightly and starts talking about how he's got nothing to do with this baby and he just wants to make things right with his wife and kids.
When you find out you're pregnant, who do you tell?
I went to Mr. Anderson at first. I went to his family.
So you did sleep with another man during the window of conception during that time?
Correct.
And you were sleeping with both men without protection?
Correct.
So how did you finally get in touch with him?
Well, I got in touch with him later, we met up and we had sex again when I was around 4 months pregnant.
The worst part is that Mrs. Anderson is in the court right there, and she has to bear through the pain of going through this again. As if the cheating itself wasn't bad enough. It's revealed that Mr. Anderson had 5 kids with his wife, but not just that, they had a business together.
Even after you found out that he was married, you should have left him alone.
Okay.
And I try to keep it together for my children. But it really, really hurts. And just to know that there could be another baby in my family, come on.
But it seems that even Miss Lima isn't telling the court the entire truth. When she was seeing Mr. Anderson, she confessed she once went behind his back and slept with someone else. So now the question is, does she really know who the father of her baby is?
When you look at your child, do you feel like she looks like one man or the other?
Mr. Anderson has a child that she looks exactly like her, the way her eyes is.
You know what his kids look like?
Yes.
She been around my children. Are you serious?
Wait a minute. When?
Are you serious?
I'm on sometimes, he'll come meet me with the kids with him.
Mrs. Anderson has tears streaming down her face, and Mr. Anderson apologizes to her. But the simple fact is that no sorry in the world can fix her broken heart right now. Mr. Anderson claims he's never seen baby Christina in his life. but can he really be trusted?
Ms. Lima, do you feel like one man or the other?
Mr. Anderson has a child that she looks exactly like her,
Her daughter looks like some of your children if she's never seen them.
She must be passing by and
No.
stalking, stuff like that.
Damn, Mr. Anderson has a lot of lies up his sleeve. Miss Lima reveals she thinks that her daughter resembles some of his kids, and then Mrs. Anderson blows up knowing this. Judge Lauren calls the entire situation a nightmare. Well, guess it's time enough now to know the truth.
Mr. Anderson, you are not her father.
It's going to be an insane moment when a 32-year-old comes to court searching for the truth about his father. In the case of Mr. Bradley, he's found the perfect candidate of who could be his father, but Mr. Tessiner firmly denies all these claims.
Bradley, you say for 19 years you've wondered, who is my father?
Yes, Your Honor.
And you're hoping today's DNA test solves your intricate family mystery. Mr. Tessiner, you claim you are 100% sure you are not Mr. Bradley's father.
Yes, Your Honor.
You say another man is on his birth certificate and paid child support.
The reason why Mr. Tessiner thinks he's not the father is because of a lot of reasons. According to him, Mr. Bradley doesn't look like him at all. But the most insane reason is that he's too tan. Plus, the conception dates don't add up. Maybe lead with that one instead of too tan.
Explain to the court why you're so sure you're not Mr. Bradley's father.
I remember pulling over on the side road one time to make out. I cannot even remember having sex with her, and I never knew that she was pregnant or that a baby was born.
Never?
Never.
So what convinced Mr. Bradley that this man is his father? Well, it was his aunt who told him that his mother hadn't been very honest with him. Miss Bradley is in court as well, and Judge Lauren asks her questions about her relationship with Mr. Tessiner.
You, of course, remember having a relationship with Mr. Tessiner.
Yeah.
He says he knew nothing about you being pregnant or anything. What happened during that time when you found out you were pregnant?
I had told Mr. Tessiner that I was pregnant.
But it looks like Mr. Bradley holds a lot of resentment against his mother. He claims she knew who his father was, but deliberately hid it from him. On top of that, she got another man to get his name printed on his birth certificate, which sounds pretty fishy.
The other man is paying child support and even going to jail for failure to pay it.
Yes.
I think he looks like the other man, and I heard that the other man took a DNA test before he started paying child support. Have Lil and the pullets bring your legs up. Look here, see how white I am? Look how white I am. Pull your pants leg up, Lil.
But Mr. Tessiner has a theory of his own. He thinks that the man who signed the birth certificate was the biological father, and that's why he agreed on paying child support. But when he didn't, they sent him to jail. It feels like these two are just uprooting his life for no reason.
When I was 18, I made her go pick him up, and I told him in the car that I was not his son. She said, when y'all started dating, Anita was already pregnant with him.
So she told you point blank?
Point blank. She said, I told you so, because I seen her later on at my great-grandmother's funeral, or the one I thought was my great-grandmother.
Now, the secrets just keep coming out. Mr. Tessiner thinks that Miss Bradley is a liar, but on top of that, he starts pointing fingers at Mr. Bradley too, and says that he's lying just like his mother. Turns out he helped Mr. Bradley get a house. But why would he do that if he's not his son?
And why would somebody else
If I ever owe you
if he's mine?
anything,
Why would
as far as
somebody
child
else keep on
support,
if he's
I'll be
mine?
glad to pay that back.
Why would somebody else be paying if he's mine?
Or he go to jail, which he did do at some point.
And that's what really made me mad about the whole thing was me seeing him in jail. You can't give a man his freedom back.
Miss Bradley's poor memory and unreliable stories have created too much of a mess that even Judge Lauren doesn't know who to believe. Meanwhile, Mr. Bradley just wants to know the truth about his father, and it's just about the time to reveal the results.
It has been determined that Mr. Tessiner are his father.
Now, this one's a pretty wild one because the actual guy involved can't come to the court. Why? Because he's under arrest. Miss Williams has come to prove that Mr. Adams is the father of her baby, but it's not her fault he's going to jail.
Enlighten me on this situation. You were in a relationship with Miss Williams?
No, I really wouldn't call it no relationship. You know, I met her at a house party. She tried to have sex with me on the first date, so that was a judge of character right there.
But you weren't in a committed relationship?
No, Your Honor.
Because Mr. Adams can't leave his state, he sent his mother, Tanya Adams, to defend him instead. Miss Williams tells the court the truth. While she was sleeping around with Mr. Adams, she had been seeing other men as well.
Me and my ex was still trying to make things work, and we were still messing around. You know, me and my ex both thought like, oh, you're the father or whatever, so we just went through that whole year. I was pregnant. I didn't mention him about the baby until I found out it wasn't my ex.
It's so irresponsible how Miss Williams has taken care of this matter, because it's put Mr. Adams under great jeopardy now. She says she never forced any fatherly duties onto him and just wanted him to get a DNA test. But how come he got arrested for not paying child support?
Another situation, we was in a department store and I seen her. She was with a guy. She was around 9 months pregnant. And I asked her to sit down and talk to me for a minute. She said, I'm positive that that's not your son's child.
Did you tell her that, Miss Williams?
No, that's a lie. She never seen me when I was pregnant.
Yes, I did.
It's turning into a big fat mess, especially with how Tanya seems to have a lot of proof of Miss Williams lying and excuses. According to Tanya, she heard Miss Williams claim several times that the baby boy, John, wasn't Mr. Adams' son, and they didn't have to worry about it at all. But she turned things around.
It's not his.
Yes.
But you understand why this could make her doubtful.
Yes, I do.
And she letting everybody babysit while she go to the strip club ain't doing her no
Again.
good. Because I babysitted the child
First off,
she didn't come get me for 2 days.
Listen, really?
So the chaos started when Miss Williams thought that the baby was her ex's, but when they got a DNA test, it came back negative. At the same time, she had told Mr. Adams the baby wasn't his. Then, when the tests came back negative, she went back to Mr. Adams. But by then, he had grown suspicious.
Do you understand why she then came to you, or you feel like there's other people in the picture as well?
Well, actually, Your Honor, I do feel like it was other people as well.
What evidence do you have to suggest that?
My mother told me that she talked to Miss Williams and that Miss Williams stated that she had some other guys tested as well.
But then, Mr. Adams began to receive documents asking him that he had to pay $99 each month for child support. He felt angry that he was being asked to pay for a kid who he knew for sure he hadn't fathered.
Basically, I was walking to the store to get some cigarettes. Police just ran our names. Now, I didn't even know I had a warrant. So I gave them my name proud, like, you know, I'm Lassiter Adams. You know, I didn't think I had no warrant. Come to find out, he come back to me like, oh, Mr. Adams, you got a warrant for child support. I'm like, what? And next thing you know, he put me in the back of the car in handcuffs.
All of this could have been avoided if only Mr. Adams had taken things in life a little more seriously and shown up for that DNA test. Tanya and Miss Williams keep going back and forth, throwing insults in each other's faces, so the only way to settle this is to open that good old envelope and put this to rest.
It has been determined that Mr. Adams is not the father.
Take me off child support, baby.
Mr. Adams, you done come to the wrong courtroom clowning. This is not a joke.
Mr. Johnson seems to be in the mood of some big decisions, and right now, it's his relationship with his fiancée that's hanging on the line. According to him, her daughter Camila was fathered by her ex-boyfriend, and if the DNA tests show that, it's the end for them.
Mr. Johnson, you claim you are here today with a relationship on the line. Now, you are convinced your fiance's 8-month-old daughter, Camila, was fathered by her ex-boyfriend and not you. If the DNA results prove your deepest fears are true, you say you plan to leave her and never look back.
Well, this is a pretty strange story. They weren't even together for that long, and Miss Quintero was already switching from one man to another. When Mr. Johnson couldn't come see apartments with her, Miss Quintero decided to go with her ex, of all people.
So, during the window of conception, did you have sex with Mr. Johnson and your ex?
Yeah.
Okay, so in a nutshell, that's why we're here. All right, what are you holding?
I just had this calendar. It just states when Cammie was born, and the 2 months at the top is midway when me and Maria started talking in March, and February was the month when she was with her ex.
According to Mr. Johnson, the conception window points towards the ex being the father. But then Ms. Quintero reveals an important fact. The baby was supposed to be born on December 13th, 2013, but she came a month early. Now, this changes things.
Do you believe what this calendar represents?
Yeah.
And so?
I mean, sorry to interrupt you. Her due date was December 13th. She was born a month and a half early.
Okay.
Yeah.
So in your estimation, you feel like if she was born around the projected due date, then that would have put the calculation back in the months when you two were back together.
Turns out, despite Ms. Quintero already telling Mr. Johnson the truth about being with her ex, he decided to be the better man and show up for his woman and his future child. He supported her during the entire pregnancy and was even present during birth just so he wouldn't have regrets later.
Up until recently, I'm at work and I have people coming up to me like, hey, you know, your girlfriend was with this guy at this time.
What do people at work know about your business?
Oh, well, I publicly display my daughter, and everybody in our community pretty much knows Maria was with that other guy a long time.
Ms. Quintero even submits to the court a hilarious Facebook post where there's a picture of Mr. Johnson sticking his tongue out just how Camila does. Ms. Quintero even claims that the baby looks a lot like Mr. Johnson. But the question is if Mr. Johnson holds any kind of regret in his heart.
So do you regret signing the birth certificate before you knew whether or not she was your biological child?
No, I don't, because of the fact, like I stated, I would hate to have missed out on that, being there all that time. And two, me and Ms. Quintero actually spoke about it before the lady came in with the birth certificate. And I told her that I was willing to sign it. So then no, I don't really regret that at all.
The thing that confuses Ms. Quintero is that even though Mr. Johnson had all these doubts, he stayed with her through this whole ordeal. But now he's engaged to her and suddenly putting the entire relationship on the line. What's on his mind?
I didn't want to sit here and waste my time judging Ms. Quintero instead of sitting there, going to my doctor's appointments, being there for the child, because what if later on, I just didn't know if later on, if I had, if I missed all of that.
And whenever the two of them get into an argument, he ends up bringing up Camila and saying that he denies her as his daughter. Well, Mr. Johnson might be a good man, but that's not the right way to do things. Guess only the results can clear the air now.
Mr. Johnson, you are her father.
Oh, man.
Can I get a hug?
I'm sorry.
I may not appreciate the behavior, but I appreciate the honesty. When you mess everything up, you gotta be man enough to say, you know what? A lot of the reason why we're here is because of me. You know what, Mr. Slate? Every time somebody testifies of something in this courtroom, the first thing out your mouth is she's a lie. Now, I'm starting to believe you the lie.
In a courtroom drama that's been brewing for decades, we have a tale of romance that turned sour over time and a daughter's quest to discover her real father. Ms. Henry was about to meet the alleged father for the first time, and the tension was palpable. Get ready for a roller coaster of emotions, people. Don't say I didn't warn you.
And Melanie, how are you feeling right now in this moment, Ms. Jones?
I'm hurt. I feel a little lost. This is my first time ever even seeing him. I've never even seen him up, hugged him or anything, and I called him when I was little and asked him to come and see me, and he told me he would come, and he never came, and that hurts.
Well, the daddy dearest wasted no time in singing the age-old song, I'm Not the Father. But what was surprising was the way he was so sure there were other players in the game. Apparently, he played some sort of trick on baby mama. Let's see what party tricks Mr. Jackson knew.
When she told me that she was pregnant, I knew that I wasn't the father, but I said, you need to go check with that other guy that you were with the last time. She said she didn't know that I was lying about that. I was just speaking out of my mind. She admitted that she was with someone else.
Did you admit you were with someone else, Ms. Jones, Henry?
Yes, it is. It's true.
I've never admitted that I was with anybody else.
Now, Mr. Jackson turned out to be a military man, and their real meet cute was at a club. He swept her off her feet. But hold on, the red flags started popping up faster than you can say relationship goals. He thought she was lured into it for his military benefits, and she thought they were headed down the aisle. But they were just headed down to paternity court. Decades later.
We talked that night that I met her. By the time I got off the phone, she was telling me, I could fall in love with you.
Did you sleep with her after that phone conversation?
After the phone conversation, yes, we were together for a while.
So that red flag obviously wasn't that bright.
Oh, no. It was only just to be together. That's it.
Let's see how the joyous news of pregnancy was received. Uh-oh, the baby daddy's reaction was as cold as ice. No joy, no excitement, a big old nothing. Despite deep skepticism, obviously, he believed she was lying, and so the mess continued.
I know what's going on here. She's just trying to trap another, military man.
You're on a mess. I didn't need to trap a military man. I was in love with the man because we were together every day. I was thinking that we were going to get married and go. I spoke with his mother. I sent pictures to him. I didn't know what to believe. All I know, I was in love.
And so when he didn't show up for court, he was daddy by default. Cue the child support, and hence his mind was blown. Lesson 101 in legal proceedings. Appear in court when you're called to it.
Mr. Jackson, so how did you find out if you were on child support?
I got the letter from child support agency stating that I had a child. Well, I talked to my supervisors, my superior supervisors. They asked me, are you going back to Tennessee? I said, no. They said, are you the father? And I said, no. They said, well, then don't worry about it. So I didn't worry about it. I said, okay.
Now, Mr. Jackson was off serving his country, but the court was serving him in his absence. Yup, his checks were being garnished, so the military came to his help. But there was a catch to it, as there always is.
Why don't you sign up for BAQ, which is dependence pay? I signed up for dependence pay, but the only way I could get that is if I signed saying I am the father of their child, of Melanie.
Legal lesson number 1, when the court calls, you answer. When they give you a date, you show up.
Right.
So there was a default judgment probably entered against you.
Exactly.
As the case further unfolded, we see how sure the baby daddy was of the ulterior motives of the baby mama and her squad. So much so as calling the baby a meal ticket. Yep, mind blown, people.
What did these relatives say?
They said that Melanie was not my child.
I have 2 kids. I couldn't imagine leaving a child. Look at that picture. I look like my kids. And I couldn't imagine leaving my kids abandoned with nothing, with no emotional support or anything else.
And then have no emotions whatsoever.
None.
As a man.
The tension was high, and so were the emotions and the drama. However, we reach the crucial stage of this case, the unveiling of the DNA. Will this 35-year-old mystery finally come to an end? We're about to find out.
It has been determined by this court. Mr. Jackson, you are not the father.
Really? I didn't have any.
He is not the father.
I did not.
You point all that blame on me, and you put your daughter through all that for nothing.
In a roller coaster ride of love, deceit, and a 1-year-old baby, the classic paternity recipe, we have Miss Valdez-Lark, who brought the mistress of his fiancé to court to prove her wrong. But the said mistress wasn't ready to back down just yet. Oh no, she was ready to meet blow for blow.
Back in September 2012, I received a phone call from their 12-year-old daughter stating that Miss Pitts would like to speak with me. So once I got the phone to speak with Miss Pitts, she said, I'm not calling you to be messy. I need to speak with you on a matter. So I'm like, okay, go ahead, what's the matter? She was like, I'm pregnant by Robert. So I'm like, that's a lie, Your Honor.
Let's dive head first into the world of exes and their complicated connections. It's a sarcastic saga for the ages, where the plaintiff recalled a phone conversation that led her to discover that her soon-to-be husband was playing daddy to another. But there was more to it than just that.
Ms. Pitts, you were considering adoption.
Yes, ma'am.
And you needed the father to sign off, be informed, etc. So you were making this call for that reason.
Yes, ma'am.
When you finally got him on the phone, did he accept he was the father? Did he believe at that time he was the father?
No, ma'am. She didn't even get him on the phone. She got me. He wasn't there.
Well, the baby mama was all set to make some hard decisions. Hold on to your seats, because we're about to reveal how Miss Pitts ended up pregnant, and how Mr. Slater reacted to the news. The reaction, my friends, was nothing short of a jaw-dropping moment. This case keeps unraveling like a soap opera with unexpected twists at every turn.
So I'm like, why would you even start back messing with him when he already don't take care of the child that y'all already have together? So why would you, and not only that, Your Honor, she have several other kids, maybe 7, 8, or 9, or 10. I don't know how many there are.
Hold on, first of all,
I don't know how many there are. She just had a baby this year.
Yes, I did by my husband, Your Honor.
In a whirlwind of uncertainty that was bound to leave you wanting answers, Miss Pitt didn't go through with the adoption. Her aunt played a role in that decision, which led the judge to take the line of questioning to Mr. Slater next. About time he shed some light on this version of the events, and he was really quick to testify.
Do you believe you're the father?
No.
You don't?
No, Your Honor.
Why?
Because I haven't had sex with her.
Oh, Lord.
So why would she say, if you haven't had sex with her at all, why would she just come up with your name like you the father?
Because she obsessed with me. Every relationship I be in, she all tell them I got her pregnant.
After the news of pregnancy reached the baby daddy, it was time for it to reach the fiancé, and the reaction was as expected. Though what she did with the engagement ring, now that was unexpected. That's one way to pull the plug on an engagement.
You said, all right, I'm gonna stay with him and see if we can work this thing out because I'm pregnant.
No, Your Honor, that ain't why she pawned the ring. Somebody used to talk to her in the pan had sent a text message to my phone. And
No, somebody didn't see him no text message. It was somebody he started texting. Another one of his exes, he always digging up his pants.
Okay, and that's
he
how
won't
he
never
do. He
move
gonna
on
keep
to the
on
future,
rocking,
try to
never
do something
change.
bigger and
He will
better.
never
He love to
change.
dig up the old instead of going to get something new.
Mr. Slater was one slimy little dude. It seemed cheating was his middle name. The concept of loyalty was lost on him, and that propelled Judge Lake to get real with the plaintiff, to make her see reason. And she did, but only a little of it. Get a grip, woman.
Look at my child. My child looks just like him.
She's a beautiful baby. I got to give you
like
that.
him.
I just told him back there that she
No, the
looked
baby look like her mama.
Your Honor, Miss Pitt sent me a text message, a picture of the baby
She
to my
asked for
phone.
it.
I asked for her for a picture of the baby. She sent it to me, and I was so grateful that she sent it to me because when I got the picture, I told him the baby resembled his mother.
By the looks of it, one of these guys was lying, and if I had to put my money on it, I would bet it was the sleazy baby daddy. He had been a no-show the entire pregnancy. Moreover, it had been a year now, and still no connection with the baby, and even lying about meeting her. Just lying left and right. Come on, man.
How long has it been since you slept with Miss Pitts?
I can't remember.
Look at me in my face when you testifying, because you know what? Liars look around when they're talking. I'm right here. How long has it been since you slept with Miss Pitts?
I can't remember, Your Honor.
Has it been 6 months?
No longer than that.
A year?
Your Honor.
Longer than that.
Longer than that.
Oh dear. It seemed baby daddy wanted to get thoroughly schooled by the judge. And guess what, mates? He got his wish. Oh yes! All the ladies in the house were fed up with his antics. So, let's set him straight, shall we?
I've been on him since I was 11 years old, Your Honor. I done been through women, arguing with women about
Your Honor,
Robert.
she lied. I didn't know her when she was 14 years old. I did not know her when she was 11 years old.
You know what, Mr. Slater? Every time
no
somebody
reason to lie.
testifies or something in this courtroom, the first thing out your mouth is she's a lie. Now, I'm starting to believe you to lie.
Finally, we can put an end to this courtroom drama. The results were in, and the air was thick with anticipation. Will Harmony's paternity be revealed? We're about to find out, people.
You are her father.
Don't marry if I don't get it. Don't marry him. He knew that. That's why he smelled
Now
because
that
he
you
knew
found
that.
out you have this beautiful little girl. But listen, look me in the eye and tell this court you plan to take care of those kids.
I plan to take care of my kid.
Good.
The Johnsons' marriage was on the line. Husband Johnson was convinced that their newborn daughter, Diari, was not his flesh and blood, and so he itched for a paternity test and wanted his name off that birth certificate. But Miss Johnson, on the other hand, was sure as heck that her hubby was the daddy. Let's see how that turns out.
I take care of all my kids. My name is on the birth certificate. I don't want a child to have my last name if it's really not mine.
And because you're married, you're on the birth certificate because the child was born within the marriage.
Of course, I don't want to assist with the child. I don't want to do too much as far as fathering goes because I'm kind of uncomfortable. So majority of the time, I'm just like piling myself up with work, staying gone.
Better buckle up, people, because the origin of the Johnsons' relationship was no less than a roller coaster. These guys had a rocky start, and it hadn't been smooth sailing since then. mostly thanks to the husband's escapades in the streets. And that was just the tip of the iceberg.
After we lost our child, I just didn't take heed to it. I just kept drilling and kept drilling it. Honestly, I can say that I played a big part in us being here today.
I may not appreciate the behavior, but I appreciate the honesty. When you mess everything up, you gotta be man enough to say, you know what? A lot of the reason why we're here is because of me.
Well, the court thrives on the truth, and baby daddy gave them plenty. Now, let's dive right into the specifics of their decade-long relationship. Mr. Johnson was so afraid of not being the father and spending his fatherly energy on the wrong baby that he had already become distant. Way to take the proactive game seriously, right, fellas? Meanwhile, the baby mama was torn apart over all this.
When we first separated, it was just because of infidelity. Finding numbers in his phone, finding pictures, all types of stuff just was happening. It felt like he didn't care. I find it for that moment, he'd be like, oh, I'm sorry, but then he'd go right back to doing it. So, I left.
A lot of it was business. She was,
that's what he
I'm
claimed.
an artist, so I deal with a lot of women.
Let's add some spice to this now, shall we? So these guys did separate for a year, and that separation turned out to be quite eventful. Both did what they wanted during that time, with no intention of reigniting the flame. But the flame reignited now, didn't it? Oh, it did! The Johnsons found their way back into each other's arms, but fate had another surprise coming.
After a year apart, how do you get back together?
I just saw how my kids reacted to it, so.
You saw how happy your children were to be. I understand that. And so how soon after did you find out she was pregnant?
Maybe about 2 weeks or something like that.
After the reconciliation.
Yeah. And I was excited.
I was scared, because I know I had sex with somebody else.
Time for the window of conception to rise and shine. While Mr. Johnson was initially ecstatic over the news, if only it had lasted long. According to the math, the magical moment of baby making fell smack dab in the middle of their reconciliation period. Oh dear, poor guys can't catch a break.
So you do admit, Ms. Johnson, that you had unprotected sex with this other man?
Yes, Your Honor.
And then when you reconciled with your husband, you had unprotected sex with him?
Yes, Your Honor. I didn't know who my baby's father was because I didn't know when I got pregnant, what day I got pregnant. And by me going back to him so fast after being with somebody else, it was scary.
Judge Lake considered their testimonies and granted them the paternity test. However, before revealing that, let's take a look at what the clinical psychologist had to say about them handling the events of their life. You never know when we have a breakthrough. Am I right?
You talked with them a few days ago about the death of their child. She had a miscarriage. That Mr. Johnson had not dealt with that miscarriage. Instead, it almost propelled him, if you will, into that separation and acting out sexually. Whatever this result is, I hope they'll be able to handle it.
The moment of truth was upon us, folks. A lot was riding on those paternity results. The tension in the courtroom could be cut through a knife. But let's just cut it with the paternity reveal. Here goes nothing.
It has been determined by this court. Mr. Johnson, you are the father. So happy.
Wow. Wow.
My nerves were shot, honey. I was like, woo! I'm so happy for you all. You're a mother of 7 children.
Of 7 children.
At 25 years old. 27 years old with almost 7, maybe 8 kids? That's not good. It's not good for the kids at all.
Miss Sanchez-Brown is here telling the judge her husband, Mr. Brown, is playing paternity games with their 1-month-old baby, Journey. But hold on to your seats, because Mr. Brown's got a wild theory that his wife turned into a sorority girl and partied with other guys while he was out of the house. Drama alert!
I did not make this child by myself. For him to deny her, it hurts my feelings. It really breaks me down as a mother. I'm a mother of 7. A mother of 7 kids, but me and him.
You're a mother of 7 children?
Of 7 children.
At 25 years old?
Yes.
Here's an added layer to this drama. Mr. Brown unfolds an intriguing tale where he had to step into the role of an early morning savior, rushing to collect their children due to his wife's unexplained absence. It's a real whirlwind of events.
Who is this man?
From what I know, just a person from the neighborhood that knows her.
And he just walks up to you and says, "Excuse me, Mr. Brown."
Because of
He's a family friend.
A family friend.
You know who this man is?
Yes, I do.
You say it's a family friend.
He's a family friend, and he's been around me since forever.
But were you having sex with him?
No.
A family friend decides to spice things up by claiming to have slept with Miss Sanchez-Brown. But wait, there's more. Mr. Brown reveals a thrilling episode where he had to play the early morning superhero, picking up their kids because his wife mysteriously vanished. What a roller coaster.
You were not sexually active with your wife during these months when you were outside of the house. That means the end of August, September, and October.
Yes, Your Honor, we were not sexual.
So
active.
untrue.
We didn't do nothing.
So untrue.
And then, Your Honor, I want to bring up when the baby was born, I was at the hospital.
We've got a friend testifying that they spotted Miss Sanchez-Brown at a club right around the baby's conception time. And just when you thought it couldn't get any juicier, Mr. Brown whips out a calendar like a magician to illustrate the exact timing of their separation and the baby-making window. Drama at its finest.
The first time I seen it, I ain't called him out back. I'm like, all right, man, that's probably just somebody she with while the band, they probably come kick it. But the second, third time, I'm like, whoa. So I got to holler at my man, it's my blood right here. You know?
And that's during the time that the baby was conceived, Your Honor.
Drum roll, please. The moment we've all been waiting for. The court finally spills the beans on those all-important DNA results. Will Mr. Brown be declared the father? Or is there a shocking twist in store? Grab the popcorn, folks, because the truth is about to hit the fan.
Mr. Brown, you are the father.
I get a kiss?
No.
We're in the courtroom for the Stokes versus Kizart showdown, and it's all about little Decanter's paternity. Miss Stokes is saying, hey, Mr. Kizart, you're the dad. But Mr. Kizart is like, hold on, she had a fling and more during our breakup. Oh boy, paternity mysteries, you gotta love them.
This is where he sleeps.
That's not even his pillow though, by the way. That's our son's pillow that you take and you put on the floor.
Now you say R.
And so, really, this is not funny. When a man goes and sleeps on a wood floor, that means there's a real disconnect here. And this paternity secret, this paternity doubt is what's causing it.
Yes.
So the Facebook drama unfolds. Miss Stokes caught Mr. Kizart red-handed, chatting up with lots of ladies during their rocky relationship. Surprise, surprise, their love boat eventually sank in 2013 because Mr. Kizart just couldn't stop juggling all those women. Ah, the joys of modern romance.
What do you know about Miss Stokes' actions?
Nothing.
That relates to this paternity question.
There was a guy that she was messing with around the same time that her and Trey had broken up. So it only makes sense that, you're not trying to go seek out this guy, but you're putting it all on my brother.
During their break, Miss Stokes dropped a bombshell on Mr. Kizart. Surprise, I'm pregnant! But wait, there's more. Now they're debating whether they're even compatible enough to make a baby together. The mysteries of love and science. Buckle up for this roller coaster.
We was together for like almost 10 years, and you have multiple miscarriages. Then you go out and sleep with somebody else, and you get pregnant, have full term, and child comes out and everything. And we still 5 years later, still no child. We've been trying to give him a brother or a sister. She's been taking paternity pills and all that stuff to help you get pregnant and everything.
Well, grab that popcorn again, folks, because things are heating up in the courtroom. Miss Stokes and Mr. Kizart aren't holding back. They're firing verbal shots at each other. Frustration spilling over like a boiling pot of spaghetti sauce. It's a real showdown of who can out-argue the other. Let the drama unfold.
I'm the one carried him for 38 weeks, not you.
So why would I?
Excuse me, not you, not you.
That's...
He pack his stuff, Your Honor, and he will leave. You won't really spend time with him. If a person was really a real man, if you know you finna leave your girlfriend, wife, fiance, baby mama, whoever she is.
Drum roll, please. The moment we've been waiting for. That big DNA reveal. Will it be a match made in genetic heaven or a bombshell of epic proportions? Stay tuned as the court unveils the truth about little Decanter's paternity. The suspense is killing us, folks.
Mr. Kizart, you are the father.
Kiss it. We done.
Don't do that. Don't do that.
I'm done. I don't want to see you, nothing.
And here comes the judge playing the wisdom card. Judge Lake lays down some life lessons, telling Miss Stokes not to turn into a stone-cold mama and stressing the whole co-parenting gig for little Decanter's sake. Finally, court's out, folks. Case closed, and let's hope they've all learned a thing or two today.
We've gone from medical mystery to medical miracle. in about 8 minutes. I mean, I get a chill. I just got a chill. We did. And I don't want you to miss out on the beauty of that because you're just so angry.
I'm hurt.
I know.
Really hurt.
We know.
Here we go again with another classic case of he said, she said. Miss Pringle's pointing fingers at Mr. Brown, saying he's not owning up to being little Tatiana's daddy. Mr. Brown? Well, he's got his doubts, all thanks to a little history of infidelity. Emotions running high, people. Stay tuned.
The time she was saying, like, the situation she cheated on me, always a cheater will be a cheater.
So you feel traumatized?
Yes.
By catching her?
Yes.
How did you find out she was cheating?
She always get anonymous phone calls leaving out the room, instead of sitting there talking to me like if she was talking to a family member.
Well, hold on to your hats, folks. Mr. Brown claims he's no magician, no hanky-panky during the baby-making period. But guess what? Those pesky anonymous phone calls and secret squirrel behavior are raising more red flags than a bullfight. Judge Lake? Well, she's schooling them on the perils of infidelity. It's a wild ride.
Did you participate at all in any of the doctor's appointments and go?
Just one.
Just one?
Yes.
You didn't come to the birth?
No.
So I guess you didn't sign the birth certificate either.
I signed it because I felt like she needed a father, because I didn't have a father figure at the time either in my life, so I wanted to give her a feeling like she has a dad.
Hold on to your seats, folks. Miss Pringle pulling out some unique evidence: lactose intolerance and a family resemblance. But wait, it gets better. The court's on a comedy roll, investigating baby Tatiana's adorable squatting habit. Judge Lake? Well, she's hilariously wrapping that squatting saga up. Who knew genetics could be this entertaining?
How many other children you have?
I have several.
How many?
I would have had 8.
Wait a minute. What? You what do you mean you would have had 8? So Tatiana would be your 8th kid?
Yes.
And all your kids have asthma, but Tatiana doesn't?
Yes.
That's a lie. The other 2 kids don't look nothing like him. He only denies mine.
Oh, it's judgment time. Judge Lake drops some wisdom bombs, giving Mr. Brown and Miss Pringle a lecture on responsible parenting. But wait, here comes another expert, Dr. Jamila Gator, to save the day. The courtroom is like a daytime TV drama. It's got it all. Stay tuned for that big reveal.
How do you become lactose intolerant?
When you're lactose intolerant, your body doesn't produce an enzyme called lactase, and lactase is what breaks down the milk. So actually, lactose intolerance in some ethnicities is very common, but it typically develops starting at age 5 through adulthood. Your body stops making the enzyme, you can't digest milk anymore.
Dr. Gator's in the house, and she's schooling all of us. First, she breaks down lactose intolerance, making it sound like a recipe. Then she spills the beans on asthma, revealing it's a mix of genes and what's in the air. Who knew science could be so sassy? It's a real eye-opener.
If your parent has asthma, the child is 2 to 3 more times likely to develop the asthma, but it's not guaranteed because there's so many other factors that go into developing asthma.
Very informative, Dr. Gator. I really appreciate that. I will let you get back to your work. I know you are very busy taking care of patients. Thank you so much.
Ladies and gentlemen, here's the moment we've all been waiting for. The DNA test results are in. It's like the grand finale of a reality show. Will they or won't they? The suspense is at an all-time high. Let's get ready for the verdict that will either end this drama or leave us hanging.
Mr. Brown, you are the father.
Sorry for not being there for my child. I will help you financially, so you don't have to worry anymore. I'll be in my...
It's a real family reunion in court today. Miss Percival says her dad has been dodging her like bad debt, but Mr. Hansen is singing a different tune, claiming he couldn't possibly be her father. Oh, and another lady is waiting in the wings, saying Mr. Hansen's her daddy too. Talk about a tangled web of love and DNA. Stay tuned for the shocking revelations ahead.
I was with the other woman at the time she was conceived, so there's no way she could be my daughter. I am not her father, Your Honor.
And you seem pretty confident about that.
I guarantee it.
Miss Percival?
Yes, Your Honor.
When were you told that he was your father?
When I was 6 years old.
At 6 years old.
Ladies and gentlemen, it's a family affair. Mr. Hansen's ex-wife and daughter strut into the courtroom, ready to spill the beans. They introduce themselves, making sure we all know the tangled web of relationships. And guess what? Miss Merchant is Team Percival all the way. Will this testimony finally clear the air? Buckle up, folks.
You're also denying that Miss Hansen is your daughter.
50-50 chance.
Yeah, no.
My wife cheated on me while we were married with
Your
my
Honor.
older brother. And I didn't even find this out until 5 years after we were divorced. I confronted my brother and he told me yes, he did.
Ooh, the courtroom is practically a therapy session now. Family members spill their guts, looking for answers and closure. Miss Hansen lays out her confusing childhood, while the court acknowledges how deeply Mr. Hansen's absence scarred his daughters. Resentment is served hot, and the emotional roller coaster continues. Better grab your tissues.
I feel stuck right now because I don't know.
But no matter what,
I need answers.
no matter what, she's gonna be my daughter, no matter the outcome. No matter the outcome. If she's my daughter, I'll take full responsibility. But I have a real big doubt, and I don't mean to make you feel bad in anything, in any way.
Well, it's time for a good old heart-to-heart in the courtroom. The court nudges Mr. Hansen to fess up and own his actions. Responsibility is the word of the day, folks. Mr. Hansen finally issues an apology to his daughters for his past mess-ups. And the moment of truth is just around the corner, and paternity results are coming right up.
You are her father.
No, I
I love you too.
Thank you, Your Honor.
Well, folks, it's a classic courtroom drama. Mr. Brown's got custody of 18-month-old Colby, but there's a twist. Miss Stewart dropped the bomb that maybe, just maybe, Colby isn't Mr. Brown's flesh and blood. She's got her reasons, but who's the real daddy? Court's got to sort this mess out.
Mr. Brown, you have custody. So how did you even find this out?
Well, because after she moved out, she asked me if I wanted him for a couple days while she was moving her things out. She called to tell me when she was coming, and I told her that I wasn't going to give him back at that point in time.
Talk about a messy breakup. Mr. Brown's holding on to Colby and not letting go when Miss Stewart wants him back. Then she drops that bombshell that Colby might not be Mr. Brown's kid after all. These two are like a real-life soap opera, keeping us all on the edge of our seats.
I'm just upset and hurt because he took my son from me. And that is when I told him, texted him, said, okay, I said, he is not your son. I know I should have told you in the long run, but that is not your son.
That was after she lived in my household for over 3 years and mooched off my family.
No, I never mooched off your family. It's more like your family was given to me. They're being generous.
Well, you won't believe it, but Miss Stewart, out of the blue, decides that maybe, just maybe, Colby isn't Mr. Brown's little bundle of joy. And when she breaks the news to him, Mr. Brown's face turns into a mix of shock and disbelief. Now that's what I call a dramatic turn of events.
You first got the news from her and she dropped this bomb on you. Did you say, I want a DNA test? Did you think to get a DNA test?
Yes, Your Honor. I called DHS and talked to them, and they informed me that I needed to call Child Support Recovery, because that's who does the DNA test in the state that we live in.
Well, things are getting juicier by the minute. Mr. Brown's girlfriend, Sarah Tusky, steps up and starts singing a tune about how much they adore Colby. But guess what? She's got some tea on the other guy Miss Stewart's pointing fingers at. She's also spilling the beans about her emotional role.
Did you tell any government agency, this is the father? The father is Mr. Brown.
No.
Jerome, this ain't adding up.
She's still getting all kinds of benefits for Colby, and she doesn't even have him.
That then sheds some light on why they would be coming after Mr. Brown for child support.
Well, look who's bringing out the waterworks. Miss Stewart suddenly gets all emotional, proclaiming she knows what's best for her son and insists on her right to see him. Grab the tissues. It's a tearful, dramatic showdown.
I honestly feel that me and Colby both deserve a right to know.
Okay, that I understand. You just want
You want the truth.
Yes, Your Honor.
And you are willing to put it all on the line for the truth.
I've raised that little boy for 18 months, almost 19 months. That little boy's my world.
Well, things are getting legally complicated now. Judge Lake dives into the birth certificate drama where Mr. Brown's name is proudly etched. Miss Stewart's pleading for her son like it's a blockbuster movie. And then the judge drops the bomb. Those DNA results are about to hit the stage. Grab that popcorn.
Mr. Brown, you are not the father.
I told you. I told you.
Mr. Brown, you need to sit down. You need to take a seat. You have twins on the way.
No, not twin, but two different women.
They're both your girlfriend?
They're like two sisters.
Wait a minute.
Right.
Did you just say you have two sisters pregnant in the same family?
Yes, Your Honor.
Get ready to witness a brutal fight on paternity court. Miss Thomas and Mr. McKee's online romance turned fiery as it spilled into the real world, but her world shattered when he denied her pregnancy. Now, the defendant boldly claims he can't be the father. Find out the shocking revelations that unfold in this gripping courtroom drama.
First of all, we met on a dating website, as you spoke. We started off talking, and then once we started knowing each other, who we were.
How long did you talk on the phone?
Maybe about a month or two.
Okay.
And then I started going to see him, maybe like a 45-minute drive from where I live, like every other day. So I'm assuming like I'm spending the night, staying the night with him, things like that.
Judge Lake probes the potential father's thoughts upon receiving the pictures, revealing his shocking disbelief. He confesses, "This is not my baby." The courtroom gasps as he admits, "Damn, this baby makes number 8." But the mystery deepens as Judge Lake questions if those are his children. The defendant makes a surprising comparison, saying the baby looks like Donald Trump.
When you got the pictures, what were you thinking?
Like, this not my baby, Your Honor. I'm like, damn, this baby make number 8 right here.
Number 8 for who? You or her?
For me.
For her.
I have 8. That'd be number 8.
I'm kind of confused.
Whoa. So did you know she had children when you were dating her?
Yeah, he knew I had kids.
Mr. Few Words drops a bombshell, revealing their whirlwind romance from April 1st to April 20th. Doubts arise as Judge Lake questions if Miss Thomas's quick intimacy led to suspicions of infidelity. Their protection-free encounters stir controversy as Mr. McKee feared other partners. Miss Thomas, a mother of 8, emphasizes her fertility, leaving everyone stunned.
She had sex with you so quickly that you felt like, well, maybe this is the type of person or type of woman who's also having sex with other people.
But when we first started off, we was using protection, and he knew that, and he was like, he wanted to without it. I was like, no, you know, I'm fertile. I just had a baby a year or 2 ago.
Doubt lingers as the baby daddy's family questions the resemblance of the baby. It's revealed he's been searching for answers for 8 long months. Judge Lake takes charge, asking difficult questions to uncover the truth. The plaintiff denies any involvement with other men during conception. Brace yourself for the brutal fight as the truth unfolds in this high-stakes paternity battle.
I need to ask you, were you with any other men during the time Carson was conceived?
No, ma'am.
So do you have any other kids, Mr. McKee?
I have a daughter.
And so this would be your first son?
I have 2 more on the way.
You have 2 more kids on the way right now?
Yes, ma'am, Your Honor.
The alleged reveals he's expecting children with 2 different women who happen to be sisters. The shock spreads through the room, with the women reacting in disbelief. The tension heightens as Mr. McKee admits he might end up back in court in the next 120 days. Judge Lake issues a stern warning, urging him to change his ways.
Mr. McKee, you are not the father.
Are you serious?
He is not the father, Miss Thomas.
I'm sorry. Like I said, I'm sorry.
Do you know who Carson's father is?
Yes.
Lily has 2 beautiful children, Richard and Renee, but it turns out there's been a lot of trouble figuring out the paternity of these little boys. According to her, the father's Richard. But wait, Richard has a completely different story to share. He says that you can't trust a word out of Lily's mouth. wonder why.
She was trying to get all over me or whatever from the beginning, but I ignored her.
Were you interested in having a relationship with him at that point?
Relations, but not a relationship.
It started getting serious. I mean, well, I felt like it was, and I don't know, I wanted to be with her. All of a sudden, I find out she's doing other things with my friends and stuff.
It was a one-time thing. Me and his friend had messed around.
Oh, damn! Lily did the worst possible thing anyone could do to their boyfriend. She went ahead and messed around with one of Richard's friends. Come on! Why would you cheat on your partner with one of his friends? That's the lowest you can go. She even admits to the court, and the entire court just descends into complete silence.
The next day, I talked to her. She's like, okay, yeah, I did have intercourse with this man. I forgave her. And a few weeks later, she finds out she's pregnant.
Were you intimate with another man?
Yes, I did have intercourse with him 3 times, unprotected, that night. I told him about it. He still wanted to be with me.
She lied about it.
I did tell him that we did it protected. I did at the time.
While Lily was going behind Richard's back, she was also being intimate with him at home. She keeps saying that she was forced into a relationship with Richard, and that even though she liked him, she didn't want to be with him. Well, she could have told him that. And if you don't want to be in a relationship, why would you go have intercourse with him? That doesn't sound right at all.
Maybe this could be all.
I stayed up all night looking at it, and it just added up to where it was gonna be exactly to around that time with that other man.
That really messed with your mind.
Yes, ma'am.
Did she ever tell you that Richard was not your son?
She just told me, she said, Richard's not yours. And I said, what? And then she was like, yeah, he's not yours.
Lily says that it's always been back and forth with Richard. One day, he says he wants them all to be a big happy family, and that it's his dream to stay with them. Then the next day, he suddenly changed his mind. But according to Richard, that's not true. If you look at things from his perspective, Lily's broken his trust, and it'll take time to repair it.
You doubted it before the baby was even born, but you tried to stay around, and now as you look at these children as they change, you start saying these features attribute to someone else instead of you. Does he say this out loud?
Yes, he tells them to their face.
With all the fighting between Richard and Lily, it seems like it started to take a toll on the children as well. They even fought in front of them, and it made the 2 little boys worried for their parents. But there's one pretty clear thing here. Lily created all of this mess, and now she can't even admit her wrongdoings.
Both of you all know how to push the other one's button and know how to manipulate the other one to get what you want. I mean, this is just painfully clear to me. Because you all playing games up in here. Because you so consumed with doubt that you are downgrading and talking about children in their face, but you still laid up with their mother.
So, what's the solution to all of this? It's so evident that these 2 won't stop fighting, and after what Lily did to Richard and all the pain she's put him through, the only thing that'll bring Richard comfort is knowing who's the real father of these 2 boys. And the only way to know that is to get to the results.
It has been determined by this court. Mr. Hernandez, you are his father. So you are the legal father and the biological father of both boys.
So can you step up now?
I can.
Get ready for a brutal fight on paternity court. In the case of Wandic versus Stampley, tensions soar as Miss Wandic sues for $79.40, claiming the defendant took back baby clothing in a fit of rage and demands a paternity test for her 15-month-old daughter. Mr. Stampley countersues for $410, doubting his fatherhood.
Your Honor, Mr. Stampley brought over baby clothes to my sister's house, and we had got into an argument, and then he threw all the baby clothes to the neighbor's house. And why would he do that when he bought the clothes for the baby? Not me, but for the baby. It was a gift for the baby, not me.
As the courtroom drama unfolds, Mr. Stampley admits to suing for $410, claiming he organized a baby shower for Miss Wandic, believing she carried his child. However, doubts about fatherhood only arose later. He maintains that he was tricked and sweet-talked into the baby shower, compelled by her touching story of never having one before.
I was suckered and sweet-talked into this baby shower.
In what way?
She told me that she has never had a baby shower. So I felt it was only right that I do something nice for her and the baby and throw a nice baby shower. I did everything. She didn't have to do nothing but just appear.
Well, you thought you were having a baby.
Yeah, that's what I thought.
Mr. Stampley insists they were in a relationship, but not from the start. Miss Wandic vehemently denies it, stating he pursued her, hoping for a boy to add to his family. The tension escalates as both parties share conflicting accounts, leaving the audience to uncover what lies beneath the surface of this complex relationship drama.
We had got into an argument, and then he threw all the baby clothes to the neighbor's house. And why would he do that when he bought the clothes for the baby? Not me, but for the baby. It was a gift for the baby, not me. So, Your Honor, that's why I'm suing.
And so,
Miss Wandic admits to cheating, causing doubts and pain in their relationship. She bravely confesses her actions after an intimate encounter at a friend's house, revealing she was already pregnant. Amidst the chaos, the audience can't help but wonder how this revelation will impact the brutal fight in paternity court and the tangled fate of these two souls.
I did, Your Honor. I admitted that I cheated on him. Like he said, we was at his friend's house. We got done having sex, and then after we got done having sex, I felt bad, and then that's when I confessed it. At least I was woman enough to tell you I was already pregnant, because I was already pregnant the second time when he went to jail.
Mr. Stampley firmly believes the cheating might have led to the pregnancy, leaving room for someone else to be the biological father. A shocking revelation emerges as a family member claims Miss Wandic was involved in multiple affairs while he was in jail. The anticipation rises as a key witness, Mcke Baker, steps forward to shed light on the truth.
You don't think she was pregnant already?
No.
You think the cheating is very well what could have led to the pregnancy?
Correct.
Meaning somebody else could be the child's biological father.
It was just one other person, Your Honor.
I got a family member that even told me that she was doing a bunch of cheating while I was in jail.
Oh, you do?
Yes, I do.
A brutal fight took place. Mcke Baker courageously reveals her motive for sharing the information with Mr. Stampley. She understands the pain of growing up without parents. She firmly believes Miss Wandic cheated during the window of conception, which could change everything.
What made you decide to tell Mr. Stampley?
I feel like he needed to know because me and both my sisters, we grew up without parents in our home. So I felt like it was my place so that my niece should know if he is the dad or not.
Do you believe she cheated during the window of conception?
Yes, ma'am.
In a thrilling moment, Judge Lake delivers her verdict. With unwavering certainty, she declares Mr. Stampley as Nehemiah's biological father. Her fears and doubts fade away. Despite Miss Wandic's anger, the truth is crystal clear, highlighting her choice's consequences. The courtroom is filled with mixed emotions, as closure is finally reached in this riveting paternity battle.
Mr. Stampley, you are her father. Your fears and your doubts have been put to rest.
Yes, Your Honor.
I know you are angry because you feel like they were, speaking negatively about you.
Miss Hendricks reveals the destruction of her relationship with Mr. Pacheco, caused by doubts about her son Isaiah's paternity. Mr. Pacheco overheard a conversation about another man claiming to be the baby's father. He even moved out, demanding DNA results.
Well, he's listening to rumors that an ex-boyfriend is possibly the father of our son. The rumors are coming from my brother. We met about 2 years ago. We met online. About 3 months after talking online, we met in person. We moved in together within like 4 months of meeting each other.
Mr. Pacheco recounts the devastating moment when someone claimed Isaiah is the mailman's baby, leading to anger and frustration. He's hurt by Miss Hendricks' ex still being in the picture, even talking to her from jail. Miss Hendricks explains how she cut ties with her ex after getting together with Mr. Pacheco. Yet, rumors emerge, creating chaos and doubt.
Her family member came and said, "Oh, that's the mailman's baby." My reaction when they said that, I was mad. I walked out, I didn't know what to do. And then an ex out there, whatever time it was, for him to say, "Oh, that's my son, I love him, I can't wait to see him. When I get out of jail, I want to just keep in contact with you." That's what really hurt me the most.
Judge Lake cautions Miss Hendricks about the irreversible impact of her words when angry. She emphasizes the consequences of doubting Isaiah's paternity. Miss Hendricks admits her mistake, but Mr. Pacheco reveals trying to sign the birth certificate. Despite his efforts, Isaiah's name is Hendricks, not Pacheco. The courtroom is on edge, awaiting the final revelation in this gripping paternity battle.
I tried to sign the birth certificate. You see, his name is Isaiah Hendricks, it's not Isaiah Pacheco.
I cannot make him Pacheco if you wasn't there.
But every time I called you and I told you for us to make an appointment, you never wanted to do it. You always had excuses for everything.
It's like a process.
You had
it's not something I could just call and be like, I want to change his name.
Look how.
So, Mr. Pacheco, let me understand this.
The tension in the courtroom reaches its peak a family member reveals witnessing another man hanging around during Miss Hendricks and Mr. Pacheco's early days together, causing suspicions. She acknowledges that Mr. Pacheco's doubts stem from the ex's appearance afterward. The courtroom buzzes as revelations continue to unravel in this gripping paternity court battle.
But that was different times, like totally different times. He came after that, the ex. He came after.
You had them
Wasn't
both.
the
They
same
was.
time.
It was together.
No, it was
so
not.
wrong.
It was
That's
totally
so
different
wrong.
time.
So wrong.
And even if it wasn't, you're my brother.
In an electrifying moment, Judge Lake reveals the truth. Mr. Pacheco is Isaiah's father. The courtroom erupts with joy. Judge Lake emphasizes the importance of using this truth to rebuild trust and create a stronger foundation. Amidst the difficulties, they have the opportunity to raise baby Isaiah well, regardless of their relationship status.
The question is, will you use that truth as a building block to create a better foundation? This was very difficult, but you've made it through, you got the truth, and now it's time to figure out what you want to do for baby Isaiah's sake. And if you don't want to be together, that's fine. Just raise him and raise him well.
You understand that that's not getting it over with, that's getting it started. You have to understand, signing a birth certificate isn't some arbitrary execution of, you are saying I am the legal father of this child. I'm taking responsibility for this child.
Miss McDaniel brought Maurice to court because she says he convinced her to have a kid with him, but is refusing to acknowledge him. Maurice says she is a gold digger who was after her money and has been sleeping with multiple guys. She says he was the one who wanted the baby in the first place.
He wanted to have a child, which was biologically his, because he have two that's not his, and he's the daddiest because he signed a birth certificate.
No, Your Honor, that's not true. When I met her off of a site. And for me meeting her from a site, I wanted to see what kind of person she is and see if she wanted to have a life.
He also wanted to have sex with
again,
me, Your Honor. He asked me for my number on the site.
Maurice says he was recovering from the loss of his child and wanted to meet someone decent to spend time with. He says he saw Miss McDaniel's profile online and wanted to see her in person. When they met, they had sex in the car. She says he wanted to have a baby with her all along.
I had a 2-year-old child that passed, and that kind of hurt. So when I got up with her, it was like a simple point was like, you know, I wanted to see what kind of lifestyle she was.
But did you not ask
But
for
also
sex?
too, when we had sex when we was coming down the road, and then
Sex was the first night I met Mr. Leonard.
Miss McDaniel says he messaged her online and they talked. They soon met up, and sex was the only thing on his mind, as they had sex in his car upon their first meeting, and also in his house later that day. She also says he could be her sugar daddy since they have a 15-year age difference.
So tell me the first time you all met, what happened?
He hit me in my DM. I gave him my number. He started texting me. So when he texted me and asked, can we meet up? I said yes. Yes, we did have sex the first time, but it was the strength of him wanting to be my boyfriend, which I quote unquote my sugar daddy.
That's not true at all.
Judge Lauren asks Miss McDaniels what attracted her to Maurice. She says he seemed responsible and was older than her too, and she wanted someone who could be a boyfriend and a father figure to her. Judge Lauren says they found the online profile that initially attracted Maurice to her.
Were you looking for a sugar daddy?
Me, I was looking for somebody to really be my boyfriend / a father figure in my life. It's because I never had a father figure in my life.
And so, Mr. Lennon, what attracted you to Miss McDaniel?
My big booty and my cute smile, you might as well say.
Well, Your Honor, first, I thought she was a person that had a heart.
Miss McDaniel says she started having feelings for Maurice, and Maurice also confessed the same to her. However, when she asked him for money to buy food, he said no. She says she doesn't have a job and doesn't want to be on food stamps. Maurice says she needed to improve her attitude if she wanted help.
What do you need help with?
Money.
I would ask Mr. Leonard for some money to get some food because I didn't want to go to the government for food stamps.
Did you have a job?
No, I didn't.
So you basically wanted a man to take care of you?
I basically wanted a father figure, so.
You gotta get rid of that attitude first.
Maurice says he didn't acknowledge this child or sign the birth certificate because he has already had paternity issues before. He signed the birth certificates for 2 kids who ended up not being his. This time, his mother intervened and told him to not sign the birth certificate as she didn't want him to get hurt again.
You say on 2 different occasions the child turned out not to be yours?
After he done signed the birth certificate. That's his stupid stuff.
But you signed the birth
Oh,
certificate.
God, I did not sign no birth certificate.
Your mother don't want the same thing to happen with this child.
My mother
And I
do
told
not
my
want me
sister
to get
about
hurt like I did twice before.
Maurice's cousin Cynthia takes the stand next and says she lives near Maurice's house and she would often see Miss McDaniels being dropped off by random strangers. She says if the baby is Maurice's, he will be taken care of. However, the truth is important. So, what are the DNA test results going to say?
It has been determined by this court. Mr. Lennon, you are not the father. That's right.
Like I told you.
You sure that's right, Your Honor?
Yes, we're positive.
Miss Foster and Mr. Durden have appeared in court because Mr. Durden is denying their child. He says there is absolutely no way the child is his, even though he is named after him. Miss Foster, however, says she is confident he is the father. So, can Judge Lauren resolve this teenage couple's conflict?
And the reason because he has my name is because I was kind of like pushed to sign the birth certificate.
No, that is not true. We used to talk all the time about, if we have children, like I want my son to have my name.
I want to have my son to have my name.
Your Honor, he is definitely the father of this child.
She says Mr. Durden has contributed nothing in terms of money for the child's care, even though he is the legal father. She says she is a single mother and has to work long hours to support her child and is now struggling. Mr. Durden says he was pushed to sign the birth certificate and is sure the child is actually not his.
My days are long. I call for the babysitter comes, I get ready for work, wait for the bus to come, get on the bus, go to work, come home, late nights, he sleeps most of the time, so I don't even get to spend time with him when I get home. It's sickening to even sit here and have to go through this. He's not someone I just had a one-night stand with. We were in a relationship.
Miss Foster says she works all day to support her child and leaves her son with a babysitter. She gets to spend no time at all with him because he's asleep when she gets home. Even with all this effort, she is falling deeper into debt every month because she can't handle the child's finances alone.
And it's just like I wouldn't even have to be in the negatives if I had a sister.
So you also submitted to the court if Mr. Durden contributed financially monthly, just pretty much $750 for you, $767.50, which would be his contribution, you would have about $130 left over.
Yes, Your Honor.
Mr. Durden says he hasn't contributed to the child's expenses because he is positive the baby isn't his. Why is that? Well, apparently, they have always used protection when having sex. Miss Foster says that isn't strictly true. She also says he's suspicious because he ran off with her phone one day and saw some messages with another guy.
We did use condoms sometimes, not all the time, not 100% of the time. Me and Ian broke up. After that, we sat down and we talked for him. He just kept eyeing my phone. So when he was eyeing my phone, he took it, he ran in the bathroom with it, read some text messages that were between me and a guy that
saw a picture.
He was someone who was comforting me at the time. It was not anything. We never had sex or anything like that.
He says he is sure the child isn't his because the guy he saw in her phone is the same guy she took to her sonogram appointment. Can Miss Foster disprove this claim? She says he was only supporting her as a friend during her pregnancy because Mr. Durden disappeared from her life and didn't offer any support at all.
She took a selfie with a guy, and it was the guy who took her to the doctor for the sonogram of the baby.
I wasn't having sex with him. He wasn't my boyfriend. He was just there when you weren't. That same night that he took my phone and ran with it, I finally got him to come to the house so I can just sit down and talk to him. He didn't want to talk. He didn't want to have sex, so we did, and it was without a condom, and I believe that's the night that my son was conceived.
Judge Lauren says she's confused why he signed the birth certificate and named the kid after himself if he was so sure the child wasn't his. He says he didn't want to embarrass Miss Foster in front of her family in the hospital, so he signed it and his family convinced him to. Miss Foster says no one forced him.
She didn't want the child to be named after me.
So you lobbied for that?
It took her mother and I think one of her friends to tell her it's the right thing to do if the baby's his.
But I'm confused. You say this child is not yours.
I didn't really want to embarrass her in front of her mom and her sisters and stuff.
But nobody forced you to sign anything. He didn't have to sign a birth certificate. You signed it because you wanted to.
Judge Lauren asks him if he has any proof of Miss Foster's infidelity besides his protected sex story. He says one of his friends told him Miss Foster was hanging out with some other guy and it looked suspicious. She says she has guy friends like everyone else. So, can the paternity test resolve this mess for them?
It has been determined by this court. Mr. Durden, you are the father. What would you like to say, ma'am?
I don't think that I'm gonna be able to get over the hurt. I'm overjoyed, that he knows now, that it's true. You are the father, but it's just like, what are you gonna do differently?
Mr. Patterson has brought Miss Knight to court because of a paternity issue they're experiencing. He says he has raised DJ as his own for the past 4 years, but Miss Knight now claims another man might be the biological father. She says DJ has Mr. Patterson's name, but he could still be someone else's kid.
I've been there since birth, since he came out the womb, since he entered this world. When the doctor first, held him up and finally gave him to him, I witnessed him just completely quit crying and looked me dead in my eyes, and that's when, at that moment I knew I became someone's father.
Mr. Patterson says he had doubts, but they all disappeared the moment he saw DJ because he felt like he was holding his biological child. She says that's not true, and she told Mr. Patterson that her pregnancy could have potentially been caused by someone else. So, she was honest from the start.
I let DeMarcus know when I got pregnant that there was a possibility that I could be pregnant by someone else.
Do you remember this conversation, Mr. Patterson?
Yes, Your Honor, in a way. When she first told me she was pregnant, that's when we was like, I guess you could say doing the house hopping thing, because like in order
doing the what?
The house hopping thing, because when she moved out of her parents' house, she ain't had nowhere to go, so let her live there too.
Their relationship began when Miss Knight moved out of her parents' home and moved in with Mr. Patterson. He then cheated on her with another woman, which made Miss Knight very angry. She left his house with Mr. Sigler, whom she slept with. She says she told Mr. Patterson that Mr. Sigler could also be the dad.
When you left, you ended up with Mr. Sigler,
Right.
which is the other possible father.
Right. We ended up having protected sex that night, and then we ran out of condoms, and while we were doing it, I told him to go ahead and get me pregnant. That's what I told him. And as soon as I found out I was pregnant, I called DeMarcus and let DeMarcus know, I'm pregnant right now, and it's a possibility that it's Ladarius' baby or your baby.
Miss Knight says that she and Mr. Sigler don't really get along. After staying with him for a few days, Miss Knight told Mr. Patterson that she was pregnant, and he told her he wanted her to come back. So he came by with his car and told her to get her stuff because she was leaving with him.
I didn't beg him. I said, DeMarcus, come get me. And DeMarcus pulled up in the car and was like, where's your stuff? He carried my stuff on his back, got in the car, and we went on about our way. Him knowing that I could be pregnant by somebody else, he was okay with the situation.
And at this point, you're testifying that you believed he was the father based upon the time frame.
I believed it was a possibility.
Judge Lauren asks Mr. Patterson why he signed the birth certificate if there were doubts surrounding the paternity. He said he did so because when he held DJ, he fell in love. He decided to name DJ after himself and also to throw away the idea of the DNA test because he didn't want it anymore.
So you signed the birth certificate?
Yes, Your Honor, I signed the birth certificate.
Willingly?
Yes, Your Honor.
Without a doubt at that time, you went on and signed it?
Yes, Your Honor. I mean, I was going to do the DNA test.
Okay,
and
right.
I looked at him, and then that's when I threw the DNA test out the picture.
At that moment, DeMarcus said, that is my baby. His name is going to be DeMarcus Latarius Patterson Jr.
Mr. Patterson says the issue surrounding DJ's paternity was a very common topic in their household. As DJ grew older, they both thought he began looking a lot like Mr. Sigler. He says she's evil because she'd put him on child support even if he wasn't the father. She says neither of them is giving her any money so far.
If they say that I don't get to take my name off and have a DNA test, you'll put me on child support if you could.
Look, you know it's a possibility that you're the father, and Ladarius knows a possibility that's the father, and ain't none of y'all giving me nothing anyway, so you think you don't deserve to go
I bought
on
his
it?
first pair of sneakers. I buy him everything. You can't say
yeah, when I asked
the
DeMarcus to do something, he will. When I asked, but the only reason why he stopped doing the things like he used to come in and just do it.
Miss Knight then makes another surprise revelation. She says Mr. Sigler's mother is Miss Knight's godmother. Mrs. Sigler has played a pivotal role in DJ's life as well, because Miss Knight included both men in DJ's life because she wasn't sure who the father was. So, what will the DNA test results say?
It has been determined by this court. The biological father is Mr. Sigler. You are DJ's biological father, Mr. Sigler. Mr. Patterson, are you all right?
Oh, yes, ma'am.
I know this is hard.
I'm hurt about it.
Miss Nesbitt has brought Mr. Henderson to paternity court because she wants him to acknowledge their young daughter. She says he does more for her other son that's not his than for his own daughter. Mr. Henderson says she cheated on him with the neighbor, and he can't get over that.
I shouldn't have to take care of another man's baby.
But you are taking care of another man's baby, right?
Yes, but at this time, I came into this baby's life and already knew he wasn't mine, but I had a possibility that she could have been mine, but she's not, so I felt kind of hurt.
So there's a level of resentment there.
Yes, ma'am.
Miss Nesbitt says he does not contribute to their daughter's care, except buying her diapers. She says if he was really so doubtful, why did he sign the birth certificate? She clearly told him that there's a possibility the child isn't his, so there was no need to sign the birth certificate. But he did it anyway.
You had asked him previously not to sign it because you had doubts yourself.
Yes, Your Honor.
So, Mr. Henderson, you did sign the birth certificate?
Yes, Your Honor.
Do you remember having the conversation with Miss Nesbitt that said, don't sign it just yet because it may not be yours?
Yes, Your Honor.
And you signed it anyway?
Yes, Your Honor.
She also says he lied to his father about getting a DNA test before signing the certificate, even though he had gotten no such thing. He says he did that to get his father off his case. However, Mr. Henderson says signing the birth certificate, despite the doubts, was him trying to convince himself that the kid was his.
Your Honor, he even lied to his father and told him that he got a DNA at the hospital when he didn't.
When you sign a birth certificate at a hospital, you are acknowledging paternity. So when you signed your name, you said, I'm the father, I'm gonna take care of this child.
Yes, Your Honor.
So why are you not taking care of the child and only bought some diapers?
Mr. Henderson says he came home drunk one night and Miss Nesbitt was angry, and she told him he was probably not even the father of their baby. This story started when Mr. Henderson got his cousin pregnant. Miss Nesbitt, in anger, cheated on him with their neighbor, Mr. Brown, and became pregnant soon after.
When she told you she'd also slept with Mr. Brown, but it was just one night,
Yes, Your Honor.
did you say to yourself, well, I know now this could possibly be his child, or you tried to just, you were living in denial?
I was living in denial, Your Honor.
The baby looked just like you. You took pictures with her.
I
You go
had
to
love
doctor's
for her.
appointment,
I had
everything,
love
and
for you.
now
I
you're
love your
sitting up here denying her.
He says he accompanied her to the hospital, but he had doubts about the paternity because she told him the condom broke when she was having sex with Mr. Brown. Miss Nesbitt says the baby looks just like Mr. Henderson. So, what's going to be the end of this confusing story? Let's find out.
Mr. Henderson, you are her father.
Told you was her father from the beginning.
Are you happy?
Yes, I mean, I love to be her father, but if she can't change, I'ma leave. I'ma still do for my daughter because I'm not that guy. This will be my only child.
You all now have a child together.